I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-minute convos where I help you create a brand of your own unique, real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good night, David Pisarra. How are you going on this wonderful, beautiful night?
Well, I'm wonderful, man. You know, it's a beautiful day here in lovely Santa Monica, California. It's about 74 degrees out, crystal clear skies.
Hey, sounded like the Caribbean.
Kind of.
Oh, that's great to hear. David, please do tell us which of your talents up to now is probably responsible for us connecting.
Oh, my probably dogged marketing and self-promotion is the one that's doing it the most for me these days in terms of reaching out and meeting people, because I'm developing a new business called Podcasting for Professionals. So I'm reaching out to professionals, doctors, lawyers, psychiatrists, chiropractors, osteopaths, who need to develop a podcast on their own. And that's what I'm pushing out into the world these days. And I think that's how we linked up on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Was because I'm pushing that out there and you came across me or I came across you, and somehow or another we made that connection.
Yeah. Well, hey, I do love what you're doing. I definitely pinged on your name as well for the podcast that you have, right? Where you did that a while back, right? But it's pretty intriguing. So tell us about your podcast.
Well, it started off years ago. A friend of mine said, you talk a lot and got a lot of opinions. You should have a podcast. And I said, that sounds great. What's a podcast? And he said, well, it's on-demand radio and allows you to explain to people what you do. And for me, as a divorce lawyer who specializes in men, it was a very specialized market and a niche for me to go after. So I created a podcast called Men's Family Law, where I educate, empower, and entertain men on various aspects of family law, whether it's child custody or domestic violence, property issues, spousal support, child support. And what I'm trying to do is educate men on their rights so that when they go into court, they don't go in completely just blindsided.
Yeah, amazing stuff there. Now, there's definitely the creative side of what you do, right? Because let's not let it pass, but the name of the podcast is like the MFL podcast, right? Instead of the NFL, right? So it's MFL.
The logo is it's definitely a riff on the NFL, no question.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. So who did you learn the skills necessary to do what you're doing via combining the law aspect and the podcasting aspect?
Well, I started off when I was first learning to podcast with, of course, like most people, Cliff Ravenscraft, the podcast Answer Man. I owe most of my experience to, because he gave away so much free information, and I'm kind of a do-it-yourself guy. I like to get my hands dirty. So Cliff was doing these videos on this is how you set up a podcast, this is how you do a mic and do mixers and all that fun stuff. And I thought, well, I can play around with that and start doing it. I'm kind of handy with the electronics. And that's where I just started noodling around with things. And before I knew it, I had my first podcast up, and it's no longer available because it was technically correct, but dynamically boring because I sounded kind of like a coroner. It was just horrible. My first podcast was something along the lines of, hi, my name's David, and I'm going to talk to you about the law. Just bad, really, really bad. And so it's like, okay, we did that one and then threw it away. But
that's cool.
That's where I started with Cliff Ravenscraft.
What did you name the first podcast?
Oh, the first one was something goofy like Welcome to the World, I'm David. That sort of thing.
That's great. So now that you've done what you've done, David, tell me, why will you continue to repeat this skill, not only for yourself, but to help others, right? In terms of podcasting for professionals.
Well, the reason why I'm trying to keep the podcast movement going is because professionals do need new marketing tools. And the value of a podcast is that it's that on-demand radio. And from a professional's perspective, it allows me to educate and explain to my future clients everything they need to know, but I get to do it basically on their schedule. So I can do 10 different episodes on various aspects of something and they can listen to all 10 at one time, or they can listen to one a week whenever they're ready. And then by the time that they actually need me, they're already educated, and for all intents and purposes, the conversion process has happened. They've already decided they're going to hire me. It's just a question of when are they going to sign the check.
Great idea. Great idea. Hey, David, what's the best place, or where's the best place for someone to connect with you?
We're going to send them to David at Pisarra, Pisarra.com is my email address. And my website is David Pisarra, Pisarra.com. And that's my professional speaking and my mentoring, because I work with people who are looking to develop not only the podcast, but sometimes videos, or develop their business a little bit more completely, because we do deep dive weekends where I really get into what's your goal and how do we get there.
Yeah, there's definitely the coaching aspect that needs to be plugged in there. David, please do tell me one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years, please.
I'm a pretty avid dog walker. My dog Dudley is a long hair standard dachshund, and he pretty much makes me get out, because otherwise I would pretty much just stay in front of a computer all day.
How does that make you feel?
It's one of those things where it's great having him, because he gets me out into the world, and so I get to meet other people. It's kind of a sad commentary on the state of humanity, because it is so easy for us to get sucked into just spending 3 hours on Facebook or 5 hours doing a Netflix binge, and before you know it, your afternoon's been shot. So it's good that I've got the dog, because he gets me out, but it's a sad commentary on humanity that I need the dog.
Yeah. Is it a cheat that you have in place? Is he a cheat, technically?
Kind of, I guess that's one way of thinking of it. Is like, because he's got to go out.
Yeah. Why would you suggest someone do something like that? Like, ensure that they put that human element, if you would, in their life. Someone that may be spending so much time behind the computer as well.
I think that the reason why you need to get out is not just for your own physical health. Obviously, you need to get out and you need to exercise and get the muscles flowing and the blood flowing. But it's also for the social aspect of getting outside and meeting people. And that's one of the things that we're lacking in today's society, as weird as that sounds, with social media and how we're all interconnected on LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter and all the other stuff with the dating apps. The actual human connection of person to person is dropping, because we're stuck behind these computer screens. And I think that that's one of the reasons why more people should do things like get dogs and get outside and go be more social, is because we need that.
Well, amazing audience, we are live with David Pisarra. Hey, you could definitely check him out. You could take a dip into his podcast as well, right? The MFL podcast, get to know him, feel his vibe, if you would. Pretty amazing stuff there, like pretty fascinating content he's built there as well. I like the model that the fact is, hey, this is evergreen. And what David has produced is evergreen, and it's really amazing content. David, let's switch gears for a moment now, though. Let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. David, what is your earliest childhood memory?
Oh, boy. Probably I was about 2 or 3 years old. And I remember one hot summer night, my parents were just having cocktails, and I remember just going up and wanting whatever it is they were drinking, and them saying, nope, you can't have that, and putting me to bed. And I would climb out of the crib and then go back into the living room, and I did that about half a dozen times. And I just remember it became this giant game of like, who's going to win this one? And of course they won. But, to a 2 or 3 year old, it seems like, oh, this will be fun.
Why do you think this memory is so clear?
I think because it was a fun experience. I think the joy of the game really is what seared that into my memory more than anything.
Interesting. Well, can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind?
Sure.
I love the idea of the value of persistence. Ooh, I love it. Like, imagine this 3-year-old, he said 2 or 3, right?
Yes.
That has actually formatted a game plan. and even to see what you're doing in the podcasting world, well, podcasting for professionals, where you formatted something with, hey, I'm going to give you this content, I'm going to show you how this is done, and I am the guy that is going to be persistent with this. It's just fascinating how those both things connect.
It's interesting you picked up on that, because persistence has probably been the biggest key to my success from birth, really. When I was applying to colleges, my high school wrestling coach wrote in his recommendation letter, David is not my best wrestler, but he is my most persistent wrestler.
Wow. Yeah, that's fascinating. If we fast forward to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song?
Oh, God, there was a Rod Stewart song, and I can't remember the name of it. Oh, it was a big hit in like 1978. That's how old I am.
Use the tech. Rod Stewart.
Oh, good Lord.
Forever Young?
Probably. It probably was something like that.
All right. There are a few more. Do you want me to go on? Like, If You Want My Body, Have I Told You Lately?
Oh, Do You Think I'm Sexy? Yeah. You get a lot of hits. You forget about that.
There we go. Hey, it all connects. Well, hey, David, we've arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. We're going to go pretty quickly. Are you ready?
Sure.
David, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
I have worked with a couple different people.
Are you married?
I'm not married. I am a single gay man with one very pampered dog.
Do you have children? Well, yeah, so the dog qualifies, right?
The dog qualifies.
Do you believe in God?
I do.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yes, very close.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
I don't watch TV.
What about screen time, the phone and or the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
Probably more than 8, because I do a lot of training videos.
All right. David, after having 1,001 conversations in 2016 in 3 months, I came up with a workbook, the name of it being called Yours, which stands for your own unique real self. And my idea is as you answer those questions, you uncover your mission, your own unique real statement. If you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents David Pisarra, my apologies. What would you say that is?
Big dream and never give up.
Love it. David Pisarra, this was a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
I just hope they all have an opportunity to reach out and say hi to me, because I'd love to meet them.
Love it. David Pisarra, thank you for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.